Let's go surfing!
Dude.
Welcome to Bad at Board Games.
Well, he's bad at board games.
I'm Brad Blake.
I'm Toph Ferguson.
And we're bad at board games, so you don't have to be. Today, we're going to be talking about...
Longboard.
You got it right this time.
Thanks, friend.
Third take is the charm.
It happens.
I gotta let this stuff go.
It happens.
You didn't want me to put the other stuff in there, so yes, of course I'm going to put this stuff in there. Makes it more fun. Anyway,
I love getting beat up by my friends. That's all.
That's why you guys watch, so he can abuse me and I can abuse him. That's the only reason it's worth. Probably not the board game stuff.
Let's talk about board games. That's what we're here to do.
Exactly.
So today we are talking about Longboard, which is a new game by Reiner Knizia.
Yeah, one of his 5,000 games he produces a year.
Right. And today we're talking about just one of them. I was excited actually for a Reiner Knizia game. So this is kind of epic designer and.
Yep. He's got all the stuff.
Yeah.
I back draw, and we'll see where that comes in a year and a half, or whenever I get it.
Right. We need to go through our collections and kind of pull out all the Reiner Knizia games that we've played and talk about that. This is your only?
This is my only.
I have played some other ones. They are good. They are good. So, this is actually a newer game. So this is currently in pre-order when you're watching this, if you're watching it when it first is released. So you can go ahead and pre-order it now. Brad was able to pick it up at Gen Con this year. New game, published by 25th Century Games. So you can actually go on their website and you can find the game there. So, Brad, tell us a little bit about Longboard.
Well, the appearance... it's a nice little filler game. We'll start there. Like the art, it's just simple. You got one deck of cards, and they have surfboards on them, parts of surfboards on them, top of a surfboard on them, however you want to look at it. And then you've got a few objective cards. So, it's appearance-wise, it gets the job done. It's not winning any awards, but it's not like horrible to look at and be like, oh my god. I've seen games where it's just like, all right, this is terrible. The designer did a nice little job, made a nice little game to go with the theme of, building surfboards. The theme is supposed to be you're a shopkeeper and you have, pieces, or you're starting to make a board, and then as you start to sculpt it and make the board, you're trying to get 7 cards together. That starts to trigger the end game, and depending on how many boards you make, along with one that's at least 7 cards long, that'll finish the game off. So it's a nice little game.
Yeah, it plays pretty easily too. It's simple mechanic. You have a deck that you are drawing cards from. You're gonna have a tableau in front of you. It's gonna be a little bit of open drafting, so you can choose to build up your collection of boards that's in your tableau from either the deck or get a little bit into the take that, and you can draft it from other players as well. So you can kind of
steal
it from others. Brad likes doing things like that. I am very kind and generous in all I do.
He wasn't very kind when we played, but you keep thinking that.
But yeah, so it's going to be a set collection game. So as Brad said, you are building out your surfboards. You are trying to get it longer. You're trying to get more points into it. Your set collection comes into 2 different categories. So the one is actually building out the surfboards themselves. So you're building them all as one color, but you're also trying to collect stickers that are on your board. And so as you'll notice, if you're looking at some of the cards that Brad's showing you, you'll see there's 1 to 3 stickers per section of board per card. And so as you get into the end of the game and as you start scoring up your points are actually coming from those stickers. And it's kind of a fun little mechanic that as you build your surfboard out, you're putting your cards on top of the other cards, which hides the stickers that you may have so that your opponents don't necessarily know what they are.
Yeah. There's only 1 sticker there, but it's hiding 2. So you're never sure what your opponent has.
which is
as far
good.
as points.
Yeah, and with so much drafting going on, it's kind of hard. You know, I can look in front of myself or I can look in front of Brad and see, well, in his store that he hasn't used yet, he's got, you know, a card that's got 3 stickers on it, but somebody might steal that before he gets a chance to play it, and then it's trying to keep up with it. You know, that's not going to be an easy way to know who has what. So, simple mechanics, plays pretty quickly, not too bad.
Yeah, it can get a little slow toward the end. So the 20 to 30 minute filler game kind of thing, I've had it take longer than that. And I would say that's when it gets a little bit, But yeah, it's a nice little 4-player game. Other than that.
So tell us a little bit. You picked it up at Gen Con, right?
Yeah, so this was one I started looking to see, like, if I was going to get 5 games, because you can't go and buy everything. At least I can't. What would I be interested in? How much does it cost? And kind of trying to budget and this was, I think, $20 or $20 or $30. With Gen Con, you're always playing full price. So this was the one of them I wanted to pick up on Thursday, just in case they sold out of it. 25th Century Games is a smaller booth. They did have a line. And so this was like the second game I picked up. And then we got to play it a couple times even the first day, because it was easy to teach. You know, I kind of looked at it and like, oh, you're taking surfboards that have numbers on them and building them from number 1 up to number 8. And you don't have to go in order, and you can have 2 1s and then a 2 and a 3 and then 2 3s, you know, but you can't switch them around, and they all have to be the same color. So easy teach. And then we just sat down and played a couple times. I was within an hour after getting it, which is not usual. So that just tells you it's pretty easy to teach. So played youngest at 13. I'm the oldest.
Yes,
and ancient. But yeah, so, and all ranges in between. So we were able to play this. I bet we played it at least 3 or 4 times at Gen Con. And then we've played it here. So, but I've enjoyed it. We'll get to the ratings and the likes and dislikes, but you know, it's a neat little game. One of the reasons I wanted to get it, because it is Reiner Knizia, and I wanted to try one of his mechanics in a nice little filler game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it is kind of hitting that sweet spot of a 20-minute filler game. Assuming it doesn't go too long.
Depending on how many players you have.
I think actually this might be a little bit better with non-gamers. I think sometimes, at least a lot of the people that we are playing games with tend to be the heavier gamers, and I am not the take that person. The others are. I can do it a little bit, but that's not my forte. But your son's definitely is the forte.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think sitting down with a bunch of gamers, maybe a little bit more, we did extend that game a little bit, because it was a lot of, okay, let's see, what are you doing? How can I block you? More than just building up my own tableau.
Yep.
I think if you're focusing more on your tableau, it's definitely going to be a lot less take that. But if you're trying to really screw over the rest of your friends at the table.
And then as soon as you take that to somebody, then they're like, well, I'm going to get it back.
Yeah.
And then the card goes all the way around the table.
Yes. And that's when the game takes a little bit longer.
But can be fun too.
Yeah, we did. We had fun. We laughed a lot playing it, which I think is good. You know, that's always, especially with filler games in between others, sometimes it's good to decompress out of your, 4.5 weight games and play something that's a little bit lighter weight that you can kind of laugh through and joke about making the longest surfboard.
A lot of innuendos. Got the longest board. So what do you think? Positives, easy to learn, cute little graphics. To me, that's the positive. If you wanted a Reiner Knizia game, just to get into something like, oh, I played a Reiner Knizia game. It's this colors and numbers set collection kind of thing. So it's not just you. It does make you think. It's interesting how it kind of like forces you to be like, oh, this is just a neat little mechanic, and it's just 2 things: colors, numbers.
Yeah.
It does force you to think.
It does, yeah.
Surprisingly.
I think one of the positives that I like about it is that in addition to just building up your surfboards, what we haven't talked about yet are some objectives. And these can be shuffled. You're pulling out random objectives for the game. So that in itself also is kind of a little bit of, what do I want to say? Randomness to the game, replayability to the game. So that is definitely something.
Yeah, and you only have like 2 to 4 of those objectives, and they're common objectives that everybody can kind of work towards.
Yeah.
Or you can just forego that, just like Everdale. You can go get this objective, you can go get that objective, just depending on what kind of comes out with the cards.
Mm-hmm. I think when we played it, I've kind of forgotten about the objectives myself, but they're not very difficult. Like this is have a green board with the most cards. So it's not like you're playing overly difficult objectives, like have the fewest amount of surfboards in your collection. So little things like that are nice. But that's definitely a nice little...
Yeah, it gives it, turns it into a little bit more of a gamer kind of thing, right?
But at the same time, and this I think is the biggest positive for me, this game is easily accessible to somebody who does not play games.
Right.
Because it is a rather simple mechanic in terms of set collection. Even without a lot of drafting, you can just play it by drawing the top card, adding it into your tableau, and then building out your cards. But I think we could introduce this to really anybody. Yeah. So that's a good thing with board games.
Definitely easy to play or easy to learn. How's that? My negatives are it's okay. Negative. That's going to get into the rating, but it did take us a little bit longer, and I wanted it to overstay its welcome. That would be my negative, and that's probably because I have played it more at 4 players than I have at 2 or 3. I'm thinking probably 3 might be its sweet spot, but I have yet to play it below 4. So that would be my negative. Is I think at 4 players it should be a 20 or 30 minute game. If it's beyond 20 or 30 minutes, you're just kind of like, I'm done. Like I don't want this mechanic to be taking up more of my time. So that's my negative with it.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a defined negative so much. I feel like it needs a little bit more. Yeah. And I know that that's elitism, I think, in gaming, in that our sweet spot in playing games is mid to heavyweight games. And this is definitely not in that category. I think it became a little repetitive. Now, the objectives are nice, but the objectives I don't think are integral enough in the game that you're always fighting for these objectives, because the objectives are not that game changing in terms of affecting the outcome of the game score wise.
You're not playing the game working towards an objective. It just happens to be like, oh, there's some objectives out there. Am I going to hit that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's kind of where the negative is. And I try not to be elitist in it. I do enjoy a broad spectrum of games. I enjoy very lightweight games, but this one just became, even in the first play, a little bit on that repetitive side.
Yeah. So what is the weight of this? So as we talk about, like it not being hard to learn or anything like that, what is the weight on BGG?
Yeah, BGG right now, their weight rating is up to a 5, and this is a 1. Yeah. So this is going to be at kind of the lowest end of that weight scale. So not very complicated, and it doesn't have to be. I don't think the game needs to be much heavier necessarily, because it is such an accessible game to someone who is not a heavyweight gamer or midweight gamer or even a gamer. This would be great for a family. If you've got a family that's trying to get into games, maybe they've not played those gateway games yet, but they've played mass market games. They've got a few, family game nights, and they're trying to break into something different. I think this is a fantastic game because of the weight, because it is that lower end scale. But yeah, it's a 1 out of 5, and I would rate it that. Yeah. I think having played it, that's appropriate.
And then the value, so it's $20. I think I paid more than that at Gen Con. Oh, really? I really do. I really think I paid like $25 for it. I'd have to go look. But the value rating for what you get, you can pre-order it on a miniature market for about $15. So that I would recommend not paying more than that. Even at that, I would say for the experience you're getting, 5 being amazing, 1 being it costs way too much for the experience you're getting. I'm going to say this. I'm going to split the difference. This is a 2.5. So it at $15, it's worth it. Almost any games, in my opinion, is worth about $15. Some aren't worth 5 though. But I would say, like, I can't say you're going to have like the best experience at $15. You're definitely not going to have the worst experience at $15. So I'm going to split the difference and say it's the value to experience rating is about 2.5. And
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
There's some really good benefits to it. For a $15 to $20 game, this is the box.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking for something that is lightweight, that takes up little space.
And this is everything you have.
And honestly, if you're worried about size, you just take the cards out and that's all you have to travel with.
Well,
and that's, So, if you're going on a vacation, this is probably would have been better to release before summer, and so that people could go to the beach and play.
Well,
the
maybe
game.
in the winter, then we're trying to make people think they go to the beach.
That's true, yeah. So you're going on vacation. This is a good one to take, lightweight, especially with non-gamers. But yeah, I agree with you on. I personally would not pay $20 for this.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know a lot of people that would, though.
Yeah, well, everybody's different. So we're trying to give you our opinion, so you can make your own.
But I think that 2.5. I think you're spot on.
Yeah.
With.
So where do you rate this? BGG rating 1 through 10.
Yeah. So all my ratings, I use the rubric with BGG. I think it's a good way to kind of get to know what my kind of standard is when it comes to gaming. I rank this about a 5.5 out of 10. And with BGG, they have that as, quote, take it or leave it. 6, that's a 5. 6 is, it's okay, and I'll play it if I'm in the mood. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of splitting the difference between those two. This is, we've talked about this like with gaming night. Mm-hmm. It's great to have fillers. I don't want this to be the only filler game that we play. Yep. But if we're in the middle of playing other games and we need to decompress, we need something quick, okay, yeah, sure, I'll play it. But I might also recommend others instead. Mm-hmm. This one didn't click with me. This isn't one that I'm itching to play. So 5.5 is kind of where I'm placing it.
Good. My BGG rating, I was excited to get this game. I had high hopes. That may have affected my opinion of it. But in the end, I'm going to be putting it at 6. So it's a game that I'll play when I'm in the mood. So I can, grab something quickly, play with 4 players and have a nice little mechanic, but it's not something I'm itching to play like other games that I picked up at Gen Con that do take longer. However, it's just, I'd rather play some other games when I have a chance. So for me, it's a 6. So when I'm in the mood, I definitely will play it. I don't hate it. There's definitely games I hate. Again, we don't review too often, so maybe we'll get into those games at some point in the future. But to me, it's a 6. And nobody ever rates things that low, right? So don't take this is a bad game. It might be a game for you. I can't say it's not a game for me, but it's just there's other games that I would rather play. So when I'm in the mood for surfing and having an abstract surfboard contest, I'll be pulling this one out.
So many comments I want to make, but I'm not going to make them on video.
So easy to go for innuendos in this game as well, which makes it funny.
Yes, that boosts the ratings just a little bit. So fun little game. Yep. Not my favorite. Not one that I'm going to be itching to play all the time, but I've not hated my gameplays of it. So, And like I said, I think with the right player, this is going to be a much higher rated game.
Yep.
So
there you go. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. So thank you very much. Hit the subscribe. I hope you appreciate our honesty. We try to be honest with all of these and let people know about us and help us grow a little bit. Really be appreciated. Have you played this? Are you interested in this? Did we convince you to buy it or not buy it? Comment down below. That's always good too.
Yeah. And what Reiner Knizia game have you played? Is there something that you really like, something that you recommend, or something you were excited about and kind of felt like it was a flop?
There's so many. It runs the spectrum.
Yeah.
So
definitely a fantastic game designer.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.